Hello, and welcome to Sidders Baked Goods. This will be an introduction to my channel. This channel will be about how I start my business, anything to do with my bakery, and of course, baking. I will show my mistakes, and as of right now, I am creating recipes, and at the end of the year, I'll be opening my bakery. Recipes will change and adapt to my needs for the bakery, and the latest versions will be in the description. My main goal is to explore what it takes to start a bakery, hopefully inspiring others to take that leap too. Now today, we'll be making 1 dozen vanilla cupcakes and 1 dozen chocolate cupcakes. My goal for this cupcakes is to make something that is good to go with buttercream. I don't want it too sweet and I don't want it too rich. I need it to complement the buttercream as to not overpower each other and to complement each other. Now, as you saw earlier, I whisked my flour to aerate it. Most people will use a sift. I like to whisk it so that it mixes all the dry ingredients together. And as of right now, I'm about to use creaming method with the butter and the sugar. Now, with the butter, you really do want it to be room temperature, and you will see soon that I messed up on that. But it will work either way as long as you have the right tools to help you out. As you can see, I'm measuring out the sugar. Always use a scale. I do not recommend using anything to do with volume, because volume can change the weight if you start to do larger items. Now, I'm mixing, and it's not going so good. Clearly, the butter is way too cold. And you'll see soon, I'm going to fix it. See this torch? What I'm going to do, and make sure you have a metal bowl. If you don't have a metal bowl, don't be doing this. If you have a metal bowl, use a little torch, heat it up on the bottom. It'll work real easy. Now if you have a glass or anything like that, you can even put it in the microwave for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Variable, like, don't go too crazy. Now once I've heated it up enough, now you can see that it's actually mixing together and making a nice cream. You want to keep going until it's nice and airy and pale color. Now with the eggs, you want to make sure you smell them. I know it sounds weird, but you can't always tell by just looking at them. Now, I'm a terrible cameraman, as you can see, and there's those 2 eggs. One of them is old and one of them is new. You can tell old eggs by the yolk is very flat and oftentimes will break. And with a new egg, it's very plump and almost like more of a circle. Now, when mixing in the eggs for creaming method, you don't want to go too quickly. If you mix all the eggs in once, you're going to mess it up. Always scrape down your bowls, obviously, because any extra butter, sugar, egg on the tops of it won't be getting mixed in. And could wouldn't ruin it, but won't give you the same results every single time, and you want consistency. Finally, the last bit of the egg, and I'll continue mixing. Now after I'm mixing for a while, it's going to look pretty pale, and again, nice and creamy. I would have preferred if I mixed it more and made it a lot more airy, but it will work for my demonstrations for today. Now, what I like to do oftentimes is actually put that vanilla in the egg and then mix it in with the egg, but I forgot. And now I always go by weight. Again, you can use teaspoons, tablespoons. I just, again, prefer weight for everything. Always makes it the same product. And when you own a bakery, you want consistency. Now, here's my first mistake. I need to be mixing flour and milk. Flour and milk. Flour and milk. Instead, I mix all the milk in first, and then I'll be putting in the flour. What this does is when I put the milk in first, the butter and the sugar mixture separates and gets grainy. So what you want to do is you want to mix in the flour, then mix in a third of milk, then mix in another third of flour, then milk, then flour, and it won't separate on you. Now, with anything, you don't want too much gluten, especially for cakes and stuff of that nature. Breads are okay, you want it, but for anything to do with cakes and pastries, the more you mix once the flour hits liquid, the tougher and dense it will be. So when I mix this, I'm going to slowly mix, and this is why I'm using the paddle instead of the mixer. Now, you see how I'm going real fast? You gotta be careful, but don't be too careful, or it won't work out. Now, I really would prefer to have ice cream scoop for this, but I don't own one. Now, after I've finished pouring them all, you want to make sure you use all your batter, no matter what. Even if it's going to overfill it, you want to experiment, and you want to make sure you're not wasting anything. That's what it looks like anyways. Now, always be cleaning up as you go. Don't let dishes pile up. It's a pain, but you got to get it done quickly. Now, we're going to cook at 350. I don't actually know how long these are going to take to cook, so we're going to first put them in and put them in for 15 minutes. I did end up adding an extra 5 minutes, so it in total 20 minutes. Now to check these, I like to poke them, and when they bounce back at you, that's when you know they're done. Now with this recipe, there's not enough. Those look tiny. I want more, so I'm going to be adjusting my recipe. Now onto the chocolate cupcakes. So again, we're going to start with the flour and all the dry ingredients. Mix them all together. Again, I like to use the whisk. It aerates it just like if you're going to use a sift, but I feel like it also mixes everything thoroughly. Now, once we get this all mixed together, I'd like to just point out that the main difference between this chocolate recipe and the vanilla recipe is all I'm really doing is changing out some of the flour for cocoa powder and adding a bit more sugar so that it's not super bitter. Now, again, I mess up. Cold butter, you just can't use it for creaming method. You need at least room temperature butter. And again, it's just not going to mix properly. I'm going to have to use the torch once again because this butter will not mix with the sugar. Yep. Now that's all heated up, mix them good again. I'm going to show you what I normally do, which is mix the vanilla with the eggs. This way, it gets to mix in real easily, and you don't have to worry about it. Again, we're going to be pouring a third at a time. If you go too quickly with this, you will separate it, which isn't the end of the world. However, again, with the bakery, you want to have consistency so that everything doesn't change for one customer to the next. Okay, so again, nice and creamy. I'd like it a little bit more airy, and I will be changing that for next time. And again, just like with the vanilla, I mess up and should be doing a third flour, a third milk, a third flour, a third milk, to make sure that I don't separate the butter sugar mixture So it's gonna look all milky because I messed up there. This won't ruin it. It's just, it's not gonna be consistent when I start to make it over and over and over again. So keep that in mind. If you're going to make this at home, it's not a huge deal, but if you're thinking about starting your own bakery, you want consistency. Now that I have all the chocolate poured in here, just slowly mix this, not going too fast, always scraping down into my bowl. Now, always keep your area clean and not cluttered. I know I have a small workstation and it makes it hard for me, but you gotta keep yourself clean so you can work efficiently. Now once I get all this mixed in, I'm gonna bring this over to the oven. We'll put her in. Now that I know that it's 20 minutes, I'm gonna put it again, 350, 20 minutes. We're gonna check in a little bit later. Now, if you can look, there's a little mark on that muffin. I checked a little too early and it just squished down and didn't bounce back. Now that I've waited that full time, it does bounce back now and looks beautiful. Now this recipe was perfect sized. They look nice and they taste good. This is how they turned out. The vanilla needs to be adjusted, have more of a muffin top, and the chocolate perfect. Now, if you've liked this video, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I even have my own website. Thank you, and have a nice day.